We'll begin with the worsening security situation in Nigeria, which in the week prompted President Bola Tinubu to declare a nationwide security emergency. As part of the emergency, President Tinubu ordered the Nigerian police and armed forces to recruit additional 20,000 personnel, bringing the total planned intake to 50,000 to tackle rising insecurity across the country. Now, this was after the earlier directive asking the police to withdraw all its officers, that's over 11,000 of them, on VIP duties. The president also directed the Department of State Services to deploy trained forest guards to flush out terrorists and bandits operating in Nigeria's forests, and the recruitment of more personnel to strengthen these operations. The national emergency on security comes in the wake of attacks and abduction of 24 schoolgirls in Kebbi and 38 worshippers in Kwara State, who have since regained their freedom, with over 300 been kidnapped in Niger State. Now, President Tinubu praised the bravery of soldiers who have lost their lives in recent operations, including Brigadier General Musa Oba, and called on the National Assembly to review laws to allow state police and urging headers to end open grazing, surrender illegal weapons, and adopt ranching to prevent farmer-header clashes. Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has backed the call for international intervention in Nigeria to halt the spate of killings and insecurity, saying the government is unable to protect the citizens. Obasanjo spoke at the Plateau Unity Christmas and Praise Festival, which held at the Ten Commandments Prayer Altar in Dwedu, just south local government area of Plateau State. Let's take a listen.
The first responsibility of any government is the protection and security of its citizens. And for anybody, at any time, anywhere, saying that when we are being killed as Nigerians, all you will say is that those that are being killed, another group also are being killed. Is that an explanation? I believe that is nonsensical. We are being killed. We Nigerians, no matter what religion you belong to, no matter where you come from, no matter what profession, we Nigerians are being killed. And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting us. We are part of the world community. If our government cannot do it, we have right to call on the international community.
All right, to help us shed more light on the security situation in the country, joining us now is the Director of Security Salute Nigeria Initiative, Salute Dantata. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, my very good brother.
Yes, but just before we come to it, I want us to go through a breaking news that's coming in right now. To this breaking news just reaching us now, the President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has sent the names of 32 ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for confirmation days after he sent the first batch of 3 names. There are 4 women on the career ambassadors list and 6 women on the non-career ambassadors list. Now, among the non-career ambassadors, designates are Barrister Ogbone Akalu from Abia, a former presidential aide Reno Mokri, former presidential aide Femi Fani-Kayode, former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, former Ekiti First Lady Angela Adebayo, and former Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. Now, others are Tasio Musa Maigeri, the former Speaker of the Katsina House of Assembly, Yakubu Gambo, a former Commissioner in Plateau State and former Deputy Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. Professor Nora Ladidadut, a former Senator from Plateau, is there, and Femi Pedro, a former Deputy Governor of Lagos State, and of course Femi Fani-Kayode, former Aviation Minister, as I said earlier on, from Osun State, including Nkechi Linda Ufochukwu from Anambra State, are all on the list, among others. And we'll continue to bring you all those details right here on Arise News. Once again, that's a breaking news just coming in. 32 more ambassadorial nominees sent to the National Assembly has been announced by a presidential statement just some moments ago. Stay with us on Arise Now, so continue to bring you the details. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, all right. Back to the issues at stake. There's a national emergency on security in the country now. What's been your reaction to President Tinubu's statement? And then, of course, it looks like this ambassadorial list that's coming up is still part of the issues to ramp up, you know, to beef up security situation within Nigeria, and then, of course, have more people speaking on behalf of the government abroad. Well,
in the first place, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown that he's up to the task of being called commander-in-chief. You know, outside being called president, they also are the C-in-C. And the essence of that C-in-C is because constitutionally he's in charge of all the higher echelons of the security agencies, from armed forces, police, and others. And I think he showed a little bit difference between his administration and that of the late Muhammad Buhari, where people were left in certain offices to do what they want. You see, in any country, if the commander-in-chief watches, listens, and acts, it shows that he's completely in charge. So his declaration of national emergency came as a step towards the right direction. Then he has proven to not only Nigeria, even though some allegations are there, maybe it was because of the allegation by US President Trump that there was Christian genocide. And beyond that, the steps he has been taking also goes by some of the efforts of vibrant TV stations like yours and others, newspapers and civil society and also others. So that particular step is going to make the new service chiefs live up to expectation, enhance supervision. Above all, not only that declaration. What follows suit after the declaration is it that there are going to be independent sources to be moving to see whether this order given is being implemented, because there are two things: for the president to give this order at the presidential villa and for it to be implemented either in Maigatari in Jigawa, or Ilo in Kebbi State, or Kayama in Kwara State, or Ihiri in Anambra State, or Ikire in Osun State. Because sometimes you see where the commander-in-chief give orders, they will say, all correct, sir. At the end of the day, you see that it's not being implemented. We can vividly recall during Buhari, he gave order to then Inspector General of Police, Idris Botun Ibrahim, to relocate to Benue while he was still in Abuja, or maybe he slept in Nasarawa. So I think Mr. President in the villa there has some security details. He can, in disguise, borrow certain examples by sending them to also watch some of these higher echelons, because sometimes what they do is to come to the presidential villa, give him compliment, sir, all is correct, whereas it's not correct. Like the IG held a press conference, he said out of the directives, in order to meet for certain security where on governed areas, 11,000 plus officers have been withdrawn from VIPs. That is a step towards the right direction. But above all, when they are withdrawn, where are you posting them to? Are you posting them to remotest parts of Imo, where unknown gunmen are wreaking havoc? Are you posting them to remotest parts of Niger, Kwara, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, Borno, and other areas where bandits are
being taken to field duties?
Let's hope it happens, because if, for example, you are taking mobile police officers, counter-terrorism officers, special forces to remotest areas, where are also the offices to accommodate them? Because when you talk of police mobile force, counter-terrorism unit, special forces, their trainings differs from those of the conventional police. So for MOPOs to be in a place and gather momentum, you must also establish full-fledged squadrons. So also the CTU, counter-terrorism unit, and the special forces, because when you talk about security internally, it is the purview of the police. So beyond just taking them there, you should build structures for them to stay, feed them well, then also give them welfare, then introduce hazard and allowance with updated supervision. Like when there was of a robbery, they established Mopo Squadron there. Even the communities in Offa, they are industrialists, they are rich people contributed. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can bring a kind of trust fund.
The National Security Trust Fund.
That is it. Private sector players like Dangote, Femi Otedola, Onanuga, Adenuga, and all of others, they are ready to contribute. All companies, just like the police trust fund now, there is also private sector contribution. So I think this is a very good step, but like I said, there are other things that also needed to follow up.
All right.
Yes.
Now let's talk about former President Olusegun Obasanjo's statement saying that, looks, that it looks like the federal government is incapable of protecting citizens and it can't do it alone. So we need foreign support. Do you think that this government will not see it as a political statement? How true is that? And should we be seeking foreign support?
With due respect to former head of state, former President and Commander-in-Chief Olusegun Obasanjo in his rights, I know during his administration, when they touched police officers in Odi, Bayelsa, they cleared the village. Yeah, same way, even though Victor Malu has been former chief of army staff in Zaki Bian, when they killed some military officers, they leveled it. But you cannot compare President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with President Olusegun Obasanjo, former. Why? Because Bola Tinubu is a full-fledged civilian, while Obasanjo is a war veteran. He fought Biafran Civil War and he has his rights. So the issues are technicalities and modalities differs.
And if he's speaking, don't you think that he's got more information that tells him that, look, it looks like Nigeria is actually losing it?
With his democratic credentials, don't forget, he was the first military head of state that voluntarily handed over to civilian administration in 1979. So the international community holds him in high esteem. But above that, we also need to make certain considerations. For example, we have had certain operational mistakes like that of Tudumbiri in Maiduguri and what have you. Without proper intelligence, survey and surveillance, if you just say in the guise of you want to carry out onslaught, for example, you go to Wasagu, you go to Kainji, you go to Kayama, or you go to Talata Mahara, or you go to Ihiala, where unknown government carry out some activities, or even Olu, and you just carry out the onslaught, you have civilian casualties. And that is the consideration that President Bola Tinubu is doing. And these are some of the impediments in achieving complete wiping of these non-state actors. Notwithstanding, what happens to also strategies of the Army High Command, Air Force High Command, Naval High Command, Police High Command, and DSS High Command. Let me tell you, in other countries, when you have this kind of insecurity, you carry out emergency census in the areas. You build in alternative Greenland. You evacuate the people, inhabitants. Then, both air raids, ground clearance, intelligence, what have you, you now carry it. So that is why they are saying there is hypocrisy and conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, because if they do that, I mean, how do you distinguish if these terrorists do not infiltrate the ordinary civilians?
It is very, very possible. Let me tell you, our intelligence network is highly respected across the country. I can mention intelligence officers from the military, like retired Lieutenant General Ali Gusau, is today one of the respected intelligence officers as a retired officer. The issues are if they want to do with, we have well-trained intelligence officers in DSS, NIA, DMI, DNI, Air Intelligence, Force CID, and what have you, but they don't use it because the political will is lacking. And let me tell you the reasons. In Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, extending to Kwara and Niger, illegal gunmen is there. Yeah, retired generals, top politicians, and other people are involved in it. There are allegations that we have some choppers that come to forest. Let me tell you, they are feeding fat from it. It is because of what they are getting that they don't want it to end. Because don't forget, they also have people that got enlisted in NDA as cadets. They are now officers, some in police academy, in DSS and what have you. If somebody that's assisted you to get there, today you are a colonel, lieutenant colonel, these are some of the impediments.
Yeah, so when they call for support, I mean, you get some support.
You give.
But where does patriotism come in now? Because, I mean, if an officer of the Nigerian army or the police and all of that is being given, you know, such kind of directive because a politician helped you, a former general or so, shouldn't you think of Nigeria first before doing that? And then, of course, I want you to react to Obasanjo's statement where he talked about, this is what he said, and for anybody to say because those who are being killed belong to this region, religion or tribe, and others too are being killed cannot be an acceptable excuse. Is that an explanation? I believe that this is nonsensical. These are all the things that we are saying, lack of patriotism.
You see, conscience is what we need, not patriotism. You can be patriotic without having conscience. When we all have conscience, whether as Christians, Muslims, or traditionalists, we know to do something inimical to lives of people is bad. So what we need is conscience in Nigeria. Then if you have conscience, you of course build integrity and patriotism, because with conscience, you will know that you cannot aid and abet insecurity. Today, bandits in Zamfara and Kebbi are carrying Tavor rifle. I don't want to go into details because
yes, amen.
Tavor rifles is held by elite forces in Israel. How did he get there? That is where you know there are certain high-level people aiding and supporting them. Then the internet. There are insinuations that certain expatriates that are also involved in illegal mines come in order to have access to certain illegal mining sites, give arms to some of these non-state actors in order to get there. It has not been investigated either by Nigerian immigration authorities, defense authorities, or DSS. Even if they do, have they brought out the outcome? So I think the statement of Mr. President, he has shown patriotism there because he tried in another way as an international statesman to show President Trump there is no issue of Christian genocide. Same way they are killing Muslims, they are killing Christians. So I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should respect former President Obasanjo for that.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't he even be calling him? Because Obasanjo seems to know so much. And with Obasanjo's goodwill across Africa and the world, isn't it time for them to close ranks? Do you think politics may be keeping them apart and not allowing both of them to communicate properly? Because, I mean, he was of the PDP and the incumbent president is of the APC. Where is the place for patriotism, nationalism, for the president to put that call to former President Olusegun Obasanjo and said, look, sir, can I come and see you if you don't want to come to the presidential villa? Because this issue is getting out of hand. How can you help us?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been meeting former President Olusegun Obasanjo on occasions in Lagos. But you know, sometimes it is not the president that is the issue. It's those surrounding. Psychophancy has become bane for development. Where some of them will say, Madalo, you know what Madalo means?
Coincidentally, both of them are the same Yoruba
Don't mind him in Yoruba. Some of the small boys that were not born when Obasanjo was head of state, today, some of them are managing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you know, at that age, for somebody that was governor for 8 years, senator in ill-fated Republic, and today, it's not easy. The responsibility is taking this and this at the villa. Sycophants around will not make that happen. Ordinarily, your suggestion should have gone a long way. You see, in America and Britain, for instance, once a president, always a president. Till date, former Presidents Obama, George Bush Jr., and host of others are still giving advice to Trump. And even when Joe Biden was there. So I think one advice I want to give is whether you are former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, Abdulsalam Abubakar, Yakubu Gowon, what have you. If you are incumbent president, Jonathan, or maybe former President Jonathan, you as the incumbent, you know they were there before you. You are all members of Council of State, where they all come for meeting, but most of them don't come because the incumbents sometimes don't do things that encourages the former, where you see, just because former president wrote a letter, you see presidential spokesperson will come and be describing him as a noisemaker. When that man was reigning, you were probably in secondary school. Let me tell you, I had opportunity to have worked in private capacity with former governor of Lagos from 1999, Lateef Jakande. Lateef Jakande till he died. Obasanjo called him Egbo, that is senior brother. Once he comes to his number 2 Bishop Street resident in Ilukweju, you see that rapport that where Jakande was in AMPP throughout, Obasanjo was in PDP. But I tell you, for anything they want to do in Ilukweju, Obasanjo will always come, even as president. So what I want to tell you is, sometimes it is not the president that is there because of what they want to get. They won't tell him the right thing. But advisably, with the issues that former President Olusegun raised, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu cannot do it alone. Not only President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, periodically, I don't know whether he does it, if it is the other way, it is high time on these issues, especially at this point in time, for him to pick call. Former President Goodluck Jonathan, what do you think on this? Former President Yakubu Gowon, what do you think on this? Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, what do you think on this? Olusegun Obasanjo, what do you think of this? Abdulsalam Abubakar, and host of other things. Of recent, former President Jonathan was in Guinea-Bissau. God saved him, the military struck. But his federal government, responded by sending team, and the military made them to come back. So I think whether you
it was actually the Ivorian government who
our federal government also played a role. Don't forget, in our embassy there, we have military attaché, even without the ambassadors and what have you. Then coming back to issue of the ambassadorial designees and also for other things. You see, recycling of politicians in diplomatic circle is not the best. Even though I know there are career ones who grew through the ranks in the foreign affairs ministry up to what have you. There are certain other people in APC that have not even held position of SA. Such kind of people that were not governors, that were not ministers, not. If you look at the list, it is either former presidential. It shouldn't be so. That is what is killing Nigeria.
Well, I mean,
one person is eating another person's generation. I am not talking even of the opposition because it is the party in power that gives its own people. In the APC there, let me give you an example. There is a particular confederation of APC support groups. There's a particular Mohammed Kailani. During the Tinubu campaign,
yeah, I mean, it's my very good friend.
Kailani has spent more than 500 million for President Tinubu's campaign. Not even executive secretary they've given to him. Why can't you appoint somebody like Mohammed Kailani who has the followership? There are more than 1,000 support groups in confederation of APC support groups. These are the caliber of people we want and other people. So there are still people in the APC there. So this list, I can tell you with iota of no apology to anybody, is not rich.
Okay. Now, I just want you to take a look at certain permutations that have been ongoing since the security crisis happened, and people have been, taking a critical look at what's been happening in the past 10, 15 years. As we try to wrap up this conversation, there's a talk that when civilians come in, under Jonathan, we had heightened insecurity. He didn't have military experience and all of that. And then, of course, Buhari stepped in, a security person. Yes, in one way or the other, he was able to manage it and all of that. And then Buhari leaves. And then we have Tinubu now, a core politician who doesn't have military experience. And it looks like the insecurity issues are going out of his hand. Does it look like, our civilian presidents, they don't really pay more attention to the issues of security to know how important it is to keep the nation safe before they do their economic policies and all other interventions?
Even though late Idris Deby, late president of Chad, went to battlefield, it's not every president can do that. You see, it is not to say that they don't know, because Tinubu sustained some of Buhari's legacy by providing the armed forces and others with the best weapons and armaments. Most of these boys, officers and men, they receive training from lower cadre in depot, Air Force Training School, Naval, Police, and what have you. Then at higher level, Defense Academy, both regular combatant courses, short service, direct short service, then Police Academy, and what have you. You see, you don't expect Mr. President to come and do your job. For example, if you are a Mopo Squadron, you have the skills. Once you are given the adequate funding, if you are a commanding officer, if you are GOC, air officer commanding, flag officer commanding, then also of others. But what do you find? Ogas say you find periodically the flag officer commanding, air officer commanding, general officer commanding, AIGs, commissioners of police, holding meeting with IG in Abuja, chief of army staff, naval air, and what have you. I can tell you, if you start from January till April, you can hardly find chief of army staff visit maybe Gidan Mantau under Malum Fashi 3 times. You can hardly find chief of naval staff visiting One maybe 10 times in River State. You can hardly find chief of air staff visiting Kainji, where air weapons go, up to 20 times. Sometimes when you don't enhance supervision, the morale is low because anybody can do anything. The issues are henceforth. We know Mr. President is the alpha and omega. He has given what they call delegated mandates. That is why you have National Security Advisor, you have the service chiefs, IG, and other components. What are they doing? Even though I know the police has been underfunded, President Tinubu, as a Democrat, should please make adequate fund to go to police, because all these ones are, like I normally emphasize, is the purview, internal security is the purview of the police, and they have larger specialized squads.
And I want to ask you one question as we try to just conclude this. Would you support the creation of a National Guard, sort of a pseudo-military and police? Because it looks like the military has been put so much under internal security duties that they hardly focus on their main duties. And then, of course, the police seems overstretched. Should we create something that's a midway? Or is the mobile police force, which was supposed to be something like that, okay? Because when Babangida was faced with something like this, he created National Guard.
National Guard wouldn't be the solution. In all the arms of the security, particularly regimental security, armed forces and police, we have what you call special forces. special forces were recently carved out units, and part of their mandate is tackling insurgency and others. They wear overall black, and they have common training in tandem with global best practices. But what do you find? These special forces in both Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, they are posted to maybe their IHLs, following convoy of Chief of Army Staff, Naval Air, Police, even IG, even though you have skeleton of them, you can hardly find them serving in local government headquarters or remotest part. So what they need to do, instead of wasting funds, creating National Guard, those special forces of Army, Navy, Air Force, and Police, let them be posted to remotest part of Nigeria where there is insurgency and banditry activities or non-government to display these skills, because their training is combination of DSS put together, NIA, and other paramilitary.
Would you support the introduction of foreign mercenaries into Nigeria again, like the Jonathan government did? Should we go through to go and get those foreign mercenaries to help the government out?
That will amount to infringement on our sovereignty. Of recent, I was in Capital Club owned by DSS in Asokoro. An expatriate was in one of their training police special intervention squad. All we can do is for America, Britain, and others to sell arms and armament to us, then also give us training. We normally have training exchange. That way, because for any independent nation, it is like tampering with your national defense policy, security policy by bringing, because when they come, sometimes some can come and spy, and anytime anything goes wrong, you can easily be invaded upon. All
right, we must thank you so much. Salihu Dantata is the Director of Security, Salute Nigeria Initiative. We must thank you so much for your immense wealth of knowledge. And of course, we've been discussing President Tinubu's declaration of national emergency on insecurity across the country, and of course, former President Olusegun Obasanjo's call for Nigeria and the federal government to actually indeed seek foreign support, saying that these killings must stop, and of course, we must stop looking at it from political lens or religious lens and all of that.